Morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Malaysia Threat and Security Landscape in the Age of AI. I'm really glad to see IT managers, CIOs, business leaders, and tech teams tuning in, because this is a topic that affects every single organization today, whether you're running a 5-person startup or a nationwide operation with hundreds of users. Over the past few years, we've seen how cyber threats in Malaysia have evolved. Ransomware isn't just something that happens to big global companies anymore. Even SMEs are getting hit, and sometimes it's not even a sophisticated hack. All it takes is one exposed server, one outdated firewall, or that one colleague who clicks download a little too fast. We've all been there. What makes it even more challenging is that security tools today can feel overwhelming. Every solution has its own dashboard, its own alerts, its own settings. And suddenly, the IT team ends up spending more time firefighting than actually building the business. And let's be honest, not every company has a dedicated cybersecurity expert sitting around, or the budget to hire one. That's why today's session is important. We're going to look at how integrated Microsoft security solutions, like Microsoft Defender for Cloud, Sentinel, and Defender for Identity and Endpoint, can help you secure your servers, your databases, your identities, and simplify everything into a single manageable view. You'll also see how migrating to Azure doesn't just improve security, but can actually help with cost optimization, compliance, and reducing operational burden. And for SMBs and mid-market organizations, yes, security can be done without a huge budget or huge teams. We'll also be sharing details about our Azure Acceleration Program. And at the end, you'll be invited for a free Azure Security Assessment and a free Azure Migration Assessment, so you can walk away with something directly actionable for your own environment. So with that, let's jump in. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. Iqbal Ashraf, Solution Area Specialist for Microsoft Azure. Iqbal works closely with organizations across Malaysia to strengthen their cloud strategy, improve security posture, and modernize infrastructure using Microsoft's latest technologies. He'll be walking us through the real security challenges in Malaysian businesses which are faced today, and how Azure integrated tools can help. Iqbal, over to you.
Right. Thank you, Arif. Good morning, everyone. And pleasure to meet you guys today. My name is Iqbal. I'm a Solution Area Specialist for Microsoft Azure for the SMB team. And today we'll have a conversation about the Malaysia threat and security landscape in the age of AI. And we also will present to you some solutions, some data, some use cases, and hopefully we'll get to the demo and also Q&A. And I will also share with you our programs that we have today to help you to accelerate your cloud adoption and have a better system for your business in overall. Right, so let me share my screen. Okay. So wait, yeah, I think there's a, yeah. So yeah, today we're going to talk about a challenge that almost every organization faces: securing your data, your workloads, and simplify your security operations by unifying the platform. And let's be direct, because cloud threats in Malaysia are rising fast. We have the data for this, and the attackers are getting smarter every day. AI is making, for example, phishing harder to detect. Even small misconfigurations are leading to a major breach. So the question is not are we a target anymore, but the real question is, when it happens, are we ready? All right. And today we will look at how the threat landscape has changed, how attackers are getting in so easily, and what practical steps you can take now to secure your data, your workloads, and also to simplify the security operations. Now, let's get started. Okay, we will go through some topics in today's agenda. First, we'll talk about how the security landscape is today, and we will talk about how to modernize your security operations, and then how you can protect your data, and you also need to protect your cloud and AI. And then also, we'll have a demo session to show you, and at the end of the session, we will have Azure Accelerate, which is our programs that can help you to adopt cloud, Azure cloud especially, faster and easier. We have a few benefits like fundings and credit for the implementations. And at the end of the session, if you have any question, yeah, we'll have a Q&A session as well. All right, so yeah, first, before we go into the solutions, I want to ground this conversation in what's happening here in Malaysia and also in ASEAN region in general. So, in a recent asset survey showed that 7 out of 10 SMBs in Asia Pacific had a cybersecurity incident in the past year, and they're not just a big company problem anymore. SMEs and also SMBs are being targeted too. Another report showed that APAC actually accounted for over 34% of all cyber incident invested globally, and this is actually the highest in the world, right? So attackers now are using generative AI to create a very convincing phishing websites, emails, even voice deepfakes, and also a malicious code. And on top of that, ransomware is one of the most damaging threats across Southeast Asia, and it's also rising with roughly over 400 attempts happening every day. We have seen some real cases. I think you've seen this on the news that, for example, Indonesia data center facing 8 million US dollar ransomware. So the effects are hospitals going offline, retail system being hit, and in Malaysia alone, ransomware incident actually jumped 153% last year, um, with 12,643 recorded incident, right? So just to give you a high level overview, when ransomware lands, the impact is very huge and severe. Um, it can stop your operations, and then the data will become inaccessible, and recovery can cost million, right? And for SMEs and SMBs, especially, the damage is so severe that it can threaten the survival of your business, right? And under pressure, actually, many business leaders say they would consider to pay the ransom. So they consider that, even though there is no guarantee they will get the data back, right? So it's not just always advanced malware. Many incidents start from a simple human mistake, like clicking a phishing link, for example, using weak password, uh, mishandling the sensitive data, and it's not because people are careless. Just to be clear, actually, it's because basic cyber hygiene is missing mostly, right? So the number shows clearly that 80% of SMBs believe that they are secure, right? But fewer than 60% have the basic in place, right? The basic is like strong password, multi-factor authentication, or regular security training, right? So that creates a real business risk for leaders. The urgency is simple. One small mistake can actually lead to a major breach. It can affect your customers' data, your employees' data, and then your finance data, and um, the trust of your business, of course, is what your business depends on, right? So this is the security reality that we are operating today. Now, let's talk about why a security foundation is actually important for your business. When we talk across customers in Malaysia and ASEAN in general, they tell us the same thing. Basically, they don't want more tools, right? But what they actually want is security that is built in, automatic, and continuously defending the business itself, right? This is why the future of modern security architecture is leaning towards. We have three basic practical principle that we always implemented here in Microsoft. First one is secure by design, meaning your system must be safe from the moment they are built, right? And not after the system was deployed, right? Or even after the application was released or after the infrastructure was already live, right? So this means uh, isolated workloads, right? So it can reduce the cross-tenant risk. Second is encrypted data at rest and also in transit. So meaning uh, compliance out of the box and by default, right? And secure operations here. So basically to monitor and detect threats and accelerate response and remediation immediately. So for example, here, if you're running a virtual machines, right? So the environment should automatically isolate your workloads and encrypt your disk, and this will reduce risk even before you configure anything else, right? So the key takeaway here is that you shouldn't have to bolt on security later. It should be there from the start, right? Then secure by default, meaning here you start protected even before the fine tuning happens, right? So security controls is automatically enabled for your environment. So identity protections like MFA should be easy to turn on and part of your baseline. So this is for your phishing defense. Should filter the dangerous emails before your employees can even see them, and you can also implement conditional access to prevent any sign-in risk. So, for example, for the security by default, right? So, if someone tries to log in into your system from an unusual location or device, the system should block or challenge that attempt without you having to build complex rules, right? So, even if you never customize anything, so you shouldn't be starting from zero, right? So, you should start from a strong foundation. And then the last one is secure operations, uh, meaning continuous protection. It's not just a one-time protection, right? So the secure operation will ensure that continuous monitoring, threat detections, and fast incident response. So it's an ongoing activity, right? So what this means for you, right? So your cloud workloads should be scanned continuously for vulnerabilities, and if there is any misconfigurations like open ports or weak passwords should be flagged automatically, and if right there is any suspicious behavior like ransomware patterns, it should trigger immediate alerts, right? And it also works across multiple platform like on-premise, Azure, AWS, software as a service application. So it should unify all of the signals to complete visibility, right? So security cannot be set and forget. You need to continuous defense that evolves with the threat landscape. And with these three principles, uh, these three is actually the foundation, right? They ensure that your organization is not just reacting to threats, but also preventing them earlier with, of course, less effort, less complexity, and stronger protection. Now that we have talked about the principles and also the data behind the secure by design, secure by default, so let's look at how this actually comes together in a real platform. So Microsoft Security Platform is built as an AI first and end-to-end ecosystem, right? So it's designed to protect every layer of your environments across identity, devices, applications, data, uh, cloud, and also security operations. And around that, you have an integrated set of capabilities like Microsoft Defender, for example, to protect your endpoints, your emails, your cloud applications, and also your workload. And you also have Microsoft Purview to protect your data, enforce compliance, and also prevent if there is any data leaks. And we also have Microsoft Intunes to secure your devices and applications. We also have Microsoft Sentinel. Gives you a full secure visibility, detection, and also automated response. And we also have Microsoft Entra ID to protect your identity and access, which is where most of the attacks begin. So all of these tools is also battle tested. On average, they work on 44 trillion signals every single day. So protection, uh, it happens on your customer identities, on your endpoints, on your cloud workloads, and also digital activity globally. So this means your team isn't just dealing with 10 different tools that don't connect to each other, don't communicate with each other. Instead, you get one connected security platforms where the signal flows between the products, and then detections become faster and remediation becomes easier, right? So whether the attack starts with a stolen password, a risky device, or misconfiguration on your virtual machines, or even a suspicious email, the platform will see it and correlates it and helps you to respond immediately, right? And yeah, so the platform will help to secure all of the workloads, everything, detect any threats earlier, so you can respond faster and using AI as your force multiplier. All right, now that we have seen how the whole security platform works together, let's talk about what we are actually hearing from customer in across Malaysia. So these three problems come up again and again, and this actually the usual place where security breaks down. So first, security teams are simply overwhelmed with too many alerts, too many separate tools, and not enough people to handle everything. That's why we need to modernize your security operations because fragmented tools actually slow your teams, right? And then the second is since your data is everywhere, like laptops, cloud applications, email, file shares, and all the data is scattered all over the place, it becomes harder to protect them. So protect your data is very important. And the third one is because as more companies move to the cloud and start experimenting with AI, a new risk, of course, shows up. So things like, for example, misconfigured workloads, exposed resources, and shadow AI tools will create a new attack path. So in the next part, we'll break this into three pillars to modernize your security operations, protect your data, and also protect your cloud and AI. We also go through each one of them with simple examples and steps that you can use right away. Okay, so let's take a closer look to modernizing your security operations, our first section. Now, okay, so this is the data that we have. So this is why modernize your security operation is actually very important. It's very crucial because attackers are moving very fast and many organizations are still slowed down by outdated fragmented security operations, right? So this is the data that we have. So attacker who steal password through phishing or any other method, they only need about 72 minutes to access your private data. Meanwhile, the average company takes about 164 days just to detect that something is wrong, right? So that is 72 minutes against 6 months to detect and respond. And one of the biggest reason is tool sprawl. Most organization use about 40 to 60%, 40 to 60%, so 60 different security tools. So each tools has its own console. Each tools has its own alerts, a dashboard, and rules. So which means your critical signals get scattered across different places, and the result is actually quite severe. Over 70% of security teams admit that they miss or fail to respond to high priority alerts. And it's not because they don't have the tools, but because the tools are not connected, right? So if we boil down the problem down to the core, meaning too many disconnected tools, it slows down your response, it creates blind spot, and also it gives the attackers time advantage, right? So modernizing security operations is actually about reducing fragmentation, connecting all the signals, and enabling your team to respond faster to take immediate actions, right? So before we talk about how using too many disconnected tools will slow you down and create blind spot. So this is what it looks like when everything is unified in one experience. So the key idea is um, your security team get one view with connected alerts, shared intelligence, and AI that speeds up your investigation and response. And for many organizations, this means faster detection, less manual workloads, and fewer missed alerts. And of course, a much better view of what's happening across all of your environment, right? So we uh, let me give you a walkthrough of each of these layers. So first we have SIEM, right? This will give you a full visibility across on-premise, cloud, devices, identities, and applications. So all of the logs flows into one place to issues uh, detection earlier. And then second one is XDR. So this will connect the signals automatically. For example, if there is any risky login tied to a compromised device, so it will build uh, the full attack story so your team can spend less time stitching the alerts together. And then the third one is cloud security. So cloud misconfiguration cause most breaches today, and this layer can check workloads from build to runtime. So new deployments are secure before they go live. And the fourth is exposure management. It will shows where you are exposed right now and what to prioritize. So you get a clear list based on real attackers' behavior, and you no need to guess anymore, right? And then the last one is threat intelligence. It will provide insight into active attacks and new vulnerabilities and pattern seen across the region, so you can respond proactively. And all of this runs on a platform we call it Microsoft Sentinel that works with 350 plus connectors. I will show you some of the connectors later on. So you can bring all of the data from Microsoft environment, from AWS, GCP, firewalls, Palo Alto, and any other platform that you already have. And so bottom line is with this, you get a unified security operations experience, and that reduce the complexity, strengthen your detection, and also help your team stay ahead of the attackers, not behind, right? And all of this without juggling between multiple dashboard. Okay, now that we have seen how a security unified SOC removes the tool sprawl and also blind spots, let's look at why unification improves protection. So when the tools operate separately, every stage slows down, right? And when everything runs on one platform, you get an AI-driven continuous loop that helps to strengthen your security. And this is what the tools deliver, right? First, it will prevent attacks earlier, right? Adaptive posture and risk-based policy. Um, so you can issue this before the attackers can use them. And then the second one is it will detect across all of your data, like identity logs, devices, cloud workloads, and email signals, all connected into one clear view. And then meaning you can remediate faster because you have AI guided remediations to stop. Yeah, this will automatically guides you and stop human operated attacks in minutes. And then you also have improved operation continuously. So the system learns over time. It will reduce noise and false positive. Right? So the impact is over 70% lower breach likelihood based on Forrester data, and up to 27 million in savings over 3 years. So less manual work, faster detection, and also fewer missed threats. Now, I would like to close this pillar by looking at the core of this unified security operations experience with Microsoft Sentinel. So Sentinel will help your team to accelerate resolution and improve the outcomes across the entire security lifecycle. So it all happened not by adding more tools, but by bringing everything into one place. So here's how it supports your operations, right? First, the collect and also to optimize, right? Sentinel will ingest data from over 350 plus connectors, including Microsoft, AWS, GCP, firewalls, Palo Alto, and every other platform that you use. So this means your teams can finally get a complete visibility across the entire environment. And then you will also get to monitor and detect because AI analytics and threat intelligence work together to identify suspicious behavior quickly. And instead of drowning in alerts, your team get a prioritized and high quality incidents which we will see later on the console during the demo. And we will also get to investigate because Sentinel correlates the signals automatically. So your analyst can immediately understand what happened to which users and which device and which workload and how did it spread. And of course, this will cut the investigation time very dramatically. And the last one is to respond, right? So with built-in SOAR automation, Sentinel can actually disable compromised accounts, isolate the devices, block malicious IPs, or trigger custom playbooks. So it will also help to automatically with approval, for example, right? So for your organization, the value is clear, meaning faster attack disruption, less manual work for the security teams, and lower operation costs, and better visibility across different environment, whether it's on cloud or on premise, right? So in short, Sentinel will turn your security operations from reactive firefighting into a proactive, connected, and AI-assisted operations. Right. So this is some of the connectors that available by default in Microsoft Sentinel. Um, we have we can bring data from Microsoft 365, Defenders, or even Azure services, and even third-party tools like Cisco, Palo Alto, AWS, and even GCP. So inside the Content Hub, you get ready-made packages with dashboard, detection rules, and also hunting queries, and also playbooks and connectors to monitor the threat faster. And Sentinel also provides a pre-built analytics rules to detect the common attacks, and even workbook and also visualization and um, playbooks to automate your response. And um, also altogether, all of this helps to secure uh, your security teams to quickly connect the data and detect the threats and investigate and respond with automations. Feel free to put your questions so we can discuss later on in the Q&A sections. If you have any question about the Microsoft Sentinel, yeah, please do put your question on the Q&A section. Right. So second one is let's go to the protect your data to mitigate your data security risk. So this is the data that we have. So um, as we talk about the protecting your data, the key point is this. So the risk landscape is moving faster than most organization can keep up. So your data security incidents are rising sharply, and 40% of all the data incidents in 2024 actually came up from generative AI tools. So it's up to 27% the year before, and it show you how quickly sensitive information is being exposed as AI adoption grows. And it's not just accidental leaks, because over 20% of breaches comes from insiders, whether it's intentional or not, because they are the hardest to detect, because they often look like a normal user behavior. And at the same time, 80% of leaders say that leakage is actually on top of the concern, because employees use more AI tools, cloud applications, and collaboration platform. So all of this point is uh, because of one root issue, right? So it's lack of visibility into your sensitive data. So if you don't know where your data lives and who can access it and how it's being used, so you cannot protect it, right? And especially when AI accelerates how very quickly. And on the next slide, we will highlight three common scenarios where we see every day. The first one is data theft. So a malicious insider copies files to USB or personal cloud storage before they leave the company. And then the second is data leak. So a well-meaning user copy paste the confidential info into generative AI tools or shares a sensitive file without realizing the risk. And the third one is data oversharing, because AI tools misconfigurations or broad access policies expose the sensitive content too far, so more than the people that you intended. So all of these issues keep on happening because data is everywhere, user move very fast, and AI multiplies the speed of exposure, right? So before we discuss the solutions, the foundation is very simple, which is to protecting your data starts with visibility and controlling how sensitive information flows across your organization. All right. So now that we have understand how complex data is, uh, it's a complex security. Now let's look at how you can protect your sensitive information in a more integrated and consistent way. We have Microsoft Purview, so it will brings together four capabilities that help you protect your data end to end. So the first one, we have information protection. This is where you discover, you classify, and you label your sensitive data, right? You can identify confidential documents, financial records, and also customer info, for example. So wherever they are stored or shared, you finally get the visibility. And then the second one is data loss prevention. So once you know where the data is, so DLP will help to prevent it from leaving the organization in the wrong way. It will blocks the unauthorized uploads, copy paste actions, email sharing, or even pushing confidential content into generative AI, right? By so your internal organization, so internal employees cannot even copy paste the data into an unauthorized target, right? The third one is insider risk management. This will help you to understand users' context and intent. It will detect unusual behavior like mass downloads, risky file transfer, and also attempt to make data before resignation without invading the policy, employee privacy, of course. And then the last one is data security investigation. So when an incident does happen, so Purview will use AI powered tools to deep uh, content analysis to help you to understand what data was involved, who accessed it, and how it moved, so you can respond faster. Right? Together, these capabilities give you the posture management and also adaptive protection, which means your security can automatically adjust based on the sensitivity of your data and also how the users behave. So instead of chasing every incident manually, you get a unified, intelligent approach that protects your data wherever it travels. Now let's look at why customers choose Purview to secure your data, especially as they start using more AI. So Purview will strength. So uh, Purview strength is pretty much straightforward. So it doesn't just block things. It uses AI to improve your data security at every stage, right? So customers usually care about three main benefits. So first, clear visibility into data risk. So Purview can connect signals from all areas like data locations, users' activities, uh, structured and unstructured content, and AI application, right? So you get a clear view of your real risk without digging through all the logs, right? And then the second one is integrated adaptive control. So Purview isn't just collecting separate tools. Everything works together automatically. So for example, it can labels and classification flows straight into the DLP and insider risk. So a small DLP alerts becomes a high priority if it involves a high risk user. And then adaptive protections tightens the security for risky users and reduce the friction for trusted users. And then the third one is AI layered investigation. So Purview uses AI to scan large amount of content and spot patterns that humans would normally miss. So this will help you to catch issues earlier before they even turn into incident, right? So in short, Purview will help you to see your data risk clearly, control your data intelligently, and also respond to threat faster, right? With AI fully integrated within the platform itself. Now, if you have more question about Microsoft Purview, you can put it on the Q&A section and we will discuss later on. And yeah, let's go to the last pillar, which is to protect your cloud and AI applications. So every organization that we work with is accelerating transformation across cloud and AI. They are building AI agents, deploying new applications, and experimenting with new models. And they can do it very quickly with Azure. And Innovation should be secure, right? Otherwise, it just becomes a risk instead of profit. And because not only development threats is also growing, you can see the data here. Actually, 80% of leaders report a rise in cloud security incident last year. And AI introduced new risks like prompt injection, for example, model theft, and data poisoning. So 80% of the leaders are most worried about sensitive data exposure through AI, right? Um, Nearly half say that they are unclear about AI regulations, which creates a major compliance gaps. So here's the core issue, right? So innovation is moving fast, but security is not keeping up, right? So developers are shipping codes quickly, while security teams are stuck managing the fragment tools and siloed signals, right? So trying to keep up with the risk itself is very important. Now here we see how Microsoft end-to-end security platform works together. It covers everything from on-premise systems to Microsoft 365 to devices to your SaaS applications to Azure and even multi-cloud environment. Right. So first, what we need to do is protect the identity and access. Right. On the left here, you can see Microsoft Defender for Identity to protect your on-prem and also cloud identities. So we also have how we do this is we use Entra ID and Entra ID protection to make sure that only the right users get access and they block risky users automatically, right? And then second is protecting the collaboration and devices. We have Defender for Office 365 to protect the emails, the Teams, and files from phishing and malware. And we also have Defender for Endpoint to secure your company laptops, desktops, and mobile devices. And with Microsoft Intune, we ensure that only compliant devices can access the company resources. And the third one is we need to protect the SaaS application, the cloud, and also the IoT, right? So we have Defender for cloud applications to give visibility and control over SaaS applications and even third-party ones like Salesforce, for example. Then we also have Defender for Cloud to protect uh, the cloud workloads and even on-premise workloads, right? It works on multi-cloud, including all of the workloads like virtual machines, storage, databases, and even networks. And we also have Defender for IoT to keep the industrial devices and sensors safe. And then to find the weak spot before the hackers do, we have Defender vulnerability management to continuously scan for weaknesses in the systems and applications and helping the IT teams to fix issues before the attackers exploit them. And we also have intelligence and AI, right? All of this is actually powered by Defender Threat Intelligence with over 84 trillion daily signals and Microsoft Security Copilot, which is your AI assistant that uh, help your teams to investigate and respond faster. So you can just ask using simple plain English, and the Copilot will help you on the configuration and also to explain the risk and how to do um, to remediate the risk as well, right? And then eventually we have the central monitoring. All of the signals and alert feed into Microsoft Sentinel, our SIEM solutions, where we can detect the bigger attack patterns and also automate the response across the whole organizations, right? So let me give you a simple example. So imagine your employees get a phishing emails, right? So Defender for Office 365 will block the malicious links, and if the user still clicks the link, Defender for Endpoint will stop the malware on the device. And then Entra ID Protection will block the attacker's attempt to log in with stolen credentials. And then the alert will be sent to the Microsoft Sentinel, which connects the dots and show uh, it's part of a larger campaign. And then the Security Copilot um, helps your analyst to quickly investigate and also take actions, right? So from the first phishing emails to the final response, the whole platform will work together to protect your organization. Now, let's talk about Defender for Cloud specifically, uh, which is known as our CNAPP, which is Cloud Native Application Protection Platform. So this is the solutions that protect your entire cloud application lifecycle, from your code to your workloads to your data, all the way through your runtime, right? And the best part is it works across platform, whether it's Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, GitHub, and GitLab, and many more. And so no matter where your workload is, where you build or where you deploy, it will protect all of the environment that you have, right? So let me break it down, how it actually secure your workload. First, it will protect your code and DevOps pipeline. It checks for any misconfigurations, exposed secrets like credentials, and also vulnerabilities before anything gets deployed, right? So it's before it get deployed, it's not after. And then the second is it secure your cloud workloads, whether that's a virtual machines, a container, um, Kubernetes clusters or databases or even APIs. And then third, it will protect your data and identities by making sure that sensitive informations and accounts aren't exposed. So how does it work in reality, right? So Defender for Cloud uses AI and global threat intelligence to surface the risk that is actually matter, and then it will continuously monitor your environment from building to runtime, and it can respond to threats in near real time. So either alerts or automated actions, right? So the value is simple. You get one unified security layer that your DevOps teams, your engineers, your cloud architect, and all security operation can all use together. Okay, so next let's take a look at the full capabilities of Defender for Cloud, because it's much more than an antivirus or basic monitoring tools. Actually, because Defender for Cloud is a complete cloud protections. It secure your entire cloud estate end to end. And let me walk you through what it protects. First, it will protect your infrastructure as a code, things like Terraform, ARM, and Bicep before the deployment, so the risk caught early. Second is it protects your cloud resources, so your VMs, storage, accounts, networks, containers, and database. And third is secures your workloads and APIs, so it will make sure that they are not misconfigured or accidentally exposed. And then the fourth is it protect your data, helping that you stay compliant and ensure sensitive information is handled properly. And finally, it will secure your identities and access, so account and permissions don't become a weak point, right? Now, um, how does it actually secure all of that? Um, so it will scan your infrastructure as a code. So if there is any risk, before it will catch it before it goes live. And then you get the posture management with secure score, showing your weakness and how to fix them. It includes continuous compliance monitoring with standard like ISO, PCI, and HIPAA. And then you also get the attack path analysis to map how the attackers could potentially move through your environment. And there is also built-in scanning for VMs, containers, and also applications. And Defender also offers both agent and agentless protection for fast onboarding and agent-based protection for deep real-time threat detection, right? So if an attacker tries to exploit any of those, so Defender's real-time protection alert the security operation in your company and automate the block to block the attacks, right? So Defender for Cloud covers all the full journey from code to deployment to runtime, all in one platform, right? So if you have any questions regarding the Defender for Cloud, feel free to put it on the Q&A section, and then we can discuss it later on. So before I go to the um, demo, I would like to share briefly about our programs called Azure Accelerate, right? So we have deployed 3 data center in Malaysia region. So this means local data residency, better performance, and lower latency, right? There is also free assessment and funding programs to help you start with zero costs. And not only the infrastructure that we have built in Malaysia, we also support the business organization in the country to adopt and grow further through the Azure Accelerate programs, right? This is of course subject to approval, which is why it's very important to utilize this to get the flexibility and benefit. So this is some of the benefit that you can utilize through these Azure Accelerate programs. First, you will get the access through Microsoft Expert. They will help you to plan and then to organize and to um, connect you to other experts from our CSP, including VLAN. And some of the benefit that you can have other than the expert helps is also the funding, right? So for the implementation funding through that is charged to you from the CSP vendors, maybe in case that your team is already busy with ongoing projects and they want to implement other things, and you need help um, to implement the solution that perhaps like AI or data analytics or data security, right? So uh, Microsoft will cover that cost for you. And also, second one is through credits, we can lower your initial costs, right? Like POCs, pilot, and full deployments, it will be covered by Microsoft. And if your team also need to upskill, uh, Microsoft will also help to do this for you, and it will be free and on-demand content or customized training, right? So some of the sorry. So yeah, some of the scenario that we can support through this program is modernization, migration, security implementation, AI, data analytics, DevOps, VMware solutions, um, and also yeah, and also many more. So you can later on, if you have any other use cases, you can contact VLAN or me so we can discuss further. So now let's go to the demo. Give me a minute. Okay, wait.
Yeah, while Iqbal is going through his motions, you can ask any questions through the Q&A. It's back, but yeah. The Q&A button is in the middle where there's a question mark there. So any and all questions, just post them there so that Iqbal can go through them. It's good to ask questions now with the man himself. If not, then you need to schedule a meeting or a call with him. So yeah, well, back to you. Cheers.
Yeah. Right. Please wait. Yeah, I think I need to sign in again. Just give me a minute.
So yeah, for those who have any questions, you can still hover over the Q&A, click it, and ask any questions. So actually, we do have a few questions here. Well, probably later we'll go through them during the Q&A session, and you can go through those questions, those answers here.
All right. So yeah, I think. Okay. So it shows the Azure console screen, right? Okay. So yeah, this is the Azure console. Some of you that have Azure account probably definitely already familiar with this, but this is our console. And just to give you a high level view, all of the services that you can create is here. You can see here we have the compute service, security, identity, DevOps, databases, AI, and analytics. So all of this you can choose here. And as I mentioned, we already have our data center here in Malaysia. So all of the sensitive data or all of the company data will stay within the Malaysia border. So it will also improve the performance and also the latency, right? Because the user is here, the data is here, and we have 3 data center here in Malaysia. So if you need DR and also backup purposes here in Malaysia within the region, you can choose between 3 data center, and the pairing region of Malaysia is Singapore. So if you need a multi-region DR or multi-region backups and systems, so you can choose the nearest one, which is Singapore. We also have others. Nearest region is Indonesia, so you can choose between Singapore and Indonesia for your DR purpose. So you can create your resource, and yeah, you can take it from there, right? And let's go to Microsoft Defender for Cloud first, right? So yeah, so we're gonna go for a walkthrough through Defender for Cloud, starting from the main overview here on the dashboard, right? So this is where you will get the complete view of the cloud security postures across all the environment. So here we can see we have one AWS account, we have 7 Azure subscriptions, which is your billing containers, and we also have 4 Google Cloud projects, we have over 19,000 resources, and there's also 20 attack paths and 132 security alerts, right? All of this is actually your dashboard. You can take uh, immediate react immediate actions through this. So um, here you can see the security posture, right? So this is where you can see the number of um, critical and high recommendation, your attack path, and also your overall security score across multiple environment that you have, right? So let me open this. So this will give you um, an understanding at glance of your biggest risk, right? On the right here, you can see the regulatory compliance, um, and then it will show you how well your environment aligned with the frameworks like NIST, NHS, or Azure security posture management. And if I'm failing any controls, I can drill down to easy to see exactly which resources are non-compliant, right? So I can check, for example, this one. Then you can see a view recommendation, and it will give you the recommendation of what you can do, right, to quickly secure the resources that you have, right, and also show you the risk level. So if it's high, then yes, you can take immediate actions, right, and if it's low, then it's not as threatening. But this is very helpful because by using this risk level, you can know, okay, so which one is actually uh, threaten my resources higher than the rest, right? And then um, let's go back to the overview. So next one, let's talk about the recommendation here. So this is where the defender prioritizes all the misconfiguration and security gaps across all of the environment, Azure, AWS, GCP, and many more, right? On the top, you can see it breaks everything down by risk, which is critical, high, medium, and also low. So this not just a random check. Each recommendation is calculated based on how exposed the resource is, um, the sensitivity of the workload, and also whether attackers can use it in an attack path. So, for example, some of the critical recommendations here you can see I have a virtual machines that is high critical risk level, right? And then you can open it. Let me show you. Then you can see the description. So what is actually is and how you can remediate this risk immediately. So you can take actions on um, based on the recommendations, right? And you can also ask Copilot, right? You can also summarize this with Copilot to give you the overview of this risk. So you can take actions and you can also explain this. This is for the non-technical users, right? So they can ask Copilot what this is about, what can I do. So you don't depend too much on the IT teams. You can also take action immediately, right? Um, and then yeah, here you can see the result. Then you can also ask how can I resolve these issues, and then and even you can ask Copilot to explain more, right? So basically, your Copilot is like your personal assistant, right? Based on the AI. And then next, let's go to the attack path analysis. So this is one of the most powerful features in Defender for Cloud because it doesn't just show the list of the risk. It also show how attackers can actually move through your environment. So at the top, again, you can see the total number of attack paths defender has identified, and along with it, many resources are involved. You can see here some of it is critical and some of them high risk. And for example, uh, you can see um, some VM is actually exposed through the internet with high uh, severity of vulnerabilities, becomes the entry point of the attacks, and defender can shows the target the attacker's cloud reach, and also like the database, storage, account, or another VM, right? So for example, let me open this. So here you can see the attack path. So this is coming from the internet to the IP address, to the NIC, and also to the VM itself, right? So by looking at all of these elements, then you can see how the attackers will take advantage of all of these um, resources, right? Starting from the IP to the NIC and to the um, virtual machine itself, right? So you can see the entry point, the target, the environment, whether it's an Azure or AWS or any other that you have. This one is in Azure. So you can see the attack story here. So this is like a scenario how the attackers will take over your resources, right? And then you can also see the remediation of what you can do about it, right? What's the easiest way uh, to to fix this issue, right? So you're not working alone, right? Microsoft will give you the recommendation, and on top of that, you can also ask Copilot for help, right? Okay, let's go back to Defender for Cloud. Next, we go to the security alerts. So this is the view of security alerts. Here, Defender for Cloud will show real threats happening across your cloud workloads, like VMs, storage, APIs, identities, and even AI services. And on top here, you can see the total number of open and active alerts. Now, all of these alerts are prioritized by, again, the severity of the risk, right? So we know which one is needs an immediate action, right? So each alert will tell us what the threat is, whether it's phishing, malware, suspicious access, ransomware, or behavior, and which resources is impacted. Here you can see, so this is the alert name, um, if there's any phishing, and which affected resources, right? And then when it started, right? So you can see this one, and the Mitre and ATT and CK tactic also evolve here. Let me open one of them. So here you can see the user phishing attempts are detected in one of your AI applications, right? And the status is active. And you can see the Mitre and ATT CK tactics. So first it will issue an initial access and also persistence, right here. So this page actually gives us the real-time picture of active threats across all of your cloud environment, and it will allow you to respond faster and cut off the attacks before they even spread, right? You can take action, or you can view the details, right? All of this is um, continuously monitored, and again, you get the um, recommendation of what you can do. You can also ask Copilot to explain more, right? To get further details. Next, um, let's go to the security posture. So here we are looking at the security posture view. This gives you a real-time score of how security of your entire cloud environment, also on-premise, right? So at the top, you can see the overall score, right? It's 50%. This means the score reflects of how many security best practices that we have met and we have not met, right? And how many open risks are still unresolved, right? So Defender for Cloud can calculate this automatically based on all our connected environments across Azure, AWS, GCP, DevOps, and GitHubs, and many more here, which I don't have. So on the right, you can see I have 43 critical recommendations. These are urgent misconfiguration or exposures. And then I also have 20 attack paths, right? This is shows you where a threat actor could chain the misconfigurations from one resource to another, right? Because all of these attack is, vulnerabilities are connected to each other, right? And then below that, Defender breaks down the full list of recommendation by the severity again. And then this helps you to immediately see the volume of high impact issues that needs attention, right? And if we scroll down, we get the list of each environment of subscription with its individual score, right? For example, here I have ASH automations with 81% secure score. And if you have any other platform like GCP, you can also get this individually. So this is the collective score. This is individual score. All right. So you can get how many unhealthy resources and whether there's any attack path exists inside that environment. So from here, we can drill into recommendation per environment, not in general anymore. So per environment, using the view recommendations. So this is often where the remediation actually start. Here you can see the view recommendation and just follow the recommendation and ask Copilot of further information. All right, so next is workload protection. This is where we this is the workload protection view, and this page gives us the visibility of protection status of individual workloads, right? Whether it's on Azure or in different sources, right? So you can see the individual resources like VMs, storage, and then containers or any other resources like SQL database also here. And then here I have in total 170 resources protected by Defender for Cloud, and almost all of them are fully protected. Why? Because it shows that 98.8% is protected. And then I'm not installing any agents because the resources just happen to be in Azure, all of them. But if you have any other resources in different platform like a GCP, AWS, on-premise, and many more, right? So you may need to install an agent, right? And below that, you can see each workload type has its own status bar. So this is by collective score, right? So this is the individual score, the virtual machine, servers, SQL, and many more. So this shows the workload specific alert, whether it's high, whether it's medium, low, and when they happen. Then this will also helps you to identify noisy service or unusual activity patterns, right? And at the bottom, you have advanced protections. Let me open one of them. So you can see here um, the interval of the protection, the scanning, and then the severity of um, the vulnerabilities as well. This one is medium, but if you have any high risk attack path, so it will shows here. You can see the affected resources, right? It will show you the complete ones. This is the unhealthy resources. This is the healthy resources. I have in total 45 and not applicable resources. So you get the complete view of all of your resources. You get um, them grouped by the healthy and unhealthy, and what can you do about it, right? You can also hear the remediation steps. So you can just follow this and it will improve the security of your resource, right? Okay, and then next is last one is data and AI security. Um, this is the view that consolidates all data and AI resources across storage accounts, uh, like managed databases, hosted databases, and also AI services. So Defender will automatically discovers these assets using Azure Resource Graph and Defender sensors, then classifies them into covered, uh, partially covered, and not covered, right? So we immediately understand our security postures. And then just to give you a quick overview of the network, because it's quite important as well. So here you can activate the core network protection, like Azure Firewall, DDoS protection, and web application firewall. So this section isn't just for a day-to-day monitoring. So this more of a deployment hub. So if the customers want layer 3 and layer 4 protection, or you want threat intelligence filtering, DDoS protection, this is where you start. So you can think of this as your enable the network guardrail sections. So it's not operational layer, right? Okay, so that is the Defender for cloud. Let me give you another one, which is another tools that we have discussed, which is uh, Microsoft Sentinel. Now I have one Microsoft Sentinel resources located in East US. Now we updated this. So for managing your Sentinel, it's no longer on Azure console, but you have your own console, which is the Defender portal. Okay, so this is the Defender console, right? Now let's walk through how data enters the Microsoft Sentinel, right? Because everything starts with the data. So first we go to the Let me open all of this. So all of the connectors is here. You have the emails, the endpoints, the identities. Here, Microsoft Sentinel. For the threat management, we'll go through them as well. Let me open. So this is the console itself. So this is like a summary of all of the resources that you have, right? You can also get the uh, um, incident that require immediate actions because the risk level is high. Okay, let's go to the data connectors, right? So, yeah, sorry, I think it's here. Okay, so Sentinel uses the connectors to bring data into the workspace, and there are three main types, which is native connectors like Microsoft Product, Defenders, Entra ID, Azure Activity Logs. We also have API-based connectors for third-party tools like AWS, GCP, ServiceNow, CMDB, Palo Alto, Prisma Cloud, Wiz, Rapid7, and many more. Then we also have agent-based connectors using the Azure Monitor Agent when you need an operating system level logs, syslogs, or even specific event types, right? So each here you can see the content hub. So you can add a new CM integration. So each connector shows you each status, but at this, I think let's go to the content hub again. So each connectors here shows its status, right? Wait, for example, this one, the Zscaler private access. So first you can add new CM integration, right? And when you edit that, it will shows here. So this is the integrated CM that I have, right? So each connectors have its own status. So when you see it's connected, meaning the logs are already flowing, but this one is not installed. So meaning no logs coming from these connectors, right? So sometimes you see labels like not connected or deprecated. That simply means that Microsoft, okay, wait. Okay, let me show you the deprecated. So Microsoft also updated. So it's very easy for you because yeah, we have patching sometimes. We add more features, more protection, right? So like this one is deprecated, meaning Microsoft has replaced that connectors with a newer version. So deprecated connectors is actually still working, right? But we don't use them for new deployments. So the newer versions usually live inside the Content Hub as part of a solution package, right? Now the Content Hub, this one is basically an app store for Sentinel. So it instead of you can manually creating the rules and dashboard and everything. So each solution here includes everything needed for that product. So a normal package, for example, let's see this one. So a normal package here, contains the data connectors, pre-built analytics rules, workbook and dashboard, hunting queries, and automation playbooks, and sorry, and also parsers and normalized schemas. So meaning you don't need to configure everything one by one. So by using these connectors, we have pre-built uh, everything, right? Analytic rules, queries, data connectors. So you can just use this as is and fine tune uh, as you go with it, right? Okay, next, let's go to the analytics rule because so analytic rules is basically which is one of the most important of part of the Sentinel because this is where the detections actually happen. So you can think of it like the brain of Sentinels. So all the logs, all the signals coming from your cloud applications, on-prem security and tools, identities and defender products flows into Sentinel. But analytics rules is the logic that decide what is suspicious and what is not. Right? You can see the active rules. Oh wait, sorry. So you can see the active rules. We have 55 active rules. And many of these coming from the solutions that we installed earlier in the Content Hub. For example, we have installed Defender for Cloud, AWS solutions, and their rules automatically appear here and already mapped to Mitre ATT and CK tactics. So each rules, right? Let me show you this one. So each rules um, runs on a schedule using KQL query to look for patterns like failed logins, privilege escalations, and lateral movement, and impossible travel, and many more. So when a rule condition is met, Sentinel will create an alert and automatically group related alerts into an incident. From there, we can trigger playbooks and automated response, such as disabling the users, blocking IP, or sending notification to the SOC. Right. So this is the mid-try and ATT attacks. We have the two initial access. And you can see on the analytic workbooks, you can see the alert rules, the alert itself, and the incident. You can monitor everything here. So if anything happens, right, it will show the alert and it will explain the incident. And this is the alert rule. So you can specify your emails, your manager's email to get notified when something happens, right? Okay, next, let's go to the playbooks. Okay. So this is the automation section. So this is where Microsoft Sentinels handles all the automated workloads for your SOC. So everything you see here is split into three parts: automation rules, um, active playbooks, and also playbook templates. So let's start with the automation rules. So this is uh, the rules that decision making layer right? So they let you to define what should happen the moment a new alert or incident arrives. For example, you can auto assign incident to an analyst and change the severity. You can add text to it, right? And you can automatic run a playbook, which is some sort of a script that will automate the response. So this removes a lot of manual triage work and speeds up the SOC response time. Right, you can see, you can add here, then can click apply. And then next we have playbooks here. So a playbook is basically an Azure Logic app that automates the section. You can send notification, block a suspicious IP, disables a user in Entra ID, and open a service ticket, or enrich an alert with data and data from virus total. You can also choose different types of playbooks, right? You can create an incident trigger, alert trigger, entity trigger, or just create a blank playbook from scratch. Here is one. Okay. Just to give you an overview of what it looks like. So this is a playbook for Defender for Cloud. So it will tag the users, related users, right? Okay, last one, go to the playbook templates. So this come directly from the Content Hub that we see earlier. So you don't need to build everything manually. You can just install a templates from Microsoft, from security vendors, from community contributors, and then customize them to your environment, right? So overall, automation is where Sentinels becomes proactive. Instead of analysts doing everything by hand, you can use all of this, and then the system can automatically detect, enrich, and also respond and contain the threats, which will shorten the response time and reduce analyst workload dramatically, right? Okay, so yeah, I think that's all the uh, Sentinel demos. Clearly, we can go through it one by one, but I just show you the most important aspect, which is the Content Hub, and then how to automate the response, how to implement a policy, right? And this one is hunting. So this is where uh, Sentinel becomes active, or this is offensive strategy, right? The previous one is more a defensive strategy. So this is where Microsoft Sentinel hunts proactively for any threats within your systems, right? So yeah, I think that's all for Sentinel demo. So yeah, I think we can continue with the Q&A, or
Yeah,
back
sure.
to you, Arif.
Yeah, thanks, Iqbal. Really, really good session and demo. So let's go through the Q&As. There's quite a bit here, Iqbal. So let's just go through them together. So first question, Iqbal. AI phishing is getting smarter. Any easy tips on how to reduce the risk?
Okay. So yeah, to reduce phishing itself, using the tools that I just shared earlier, right? You need to break the attack on every stage before the email arrives. So when user reads it, and if something suspicious happens after the click, uh, so the system detect that automatically, right? So for example, we can use Microsoft Defender for Office 365 to help block most of phishing emails before they reach the inbox. right? And it scans the sender, the URL, and the attachments, and even uses AI to detect things like fake logic pages or impersonating attempts. So this is more of um, defensive here, and this is the automation where AI takes the lead to detect it. But um, the formula is here is very simple. First, you need to block the email, protect the identity, secure the device, and educate the user. So educate the user actually comes last, right? Where most companies takes the user educate the user is first, right? So to educate the users is one thing, right? We need to teach them of how to become more details on reading emails, reading the links and everything, but to do it proactively by the system. So we can use Defender for Office 365, right? We can also use Defender for Endpoint to check the device for risky behavior. For example, right, um, if someone click a link, right, the device can be isolated automatically to stop the attack from spreading, right? So we can do that with the Defender for Endpoint. And finally, for ongoing awareness, ensure um, uh, frequent security reminders to help your employees to spot suspicious emails, and especially those created using AI.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Iqbal. It's a very good answer. Um, On to the next. How do we know if our company is already being targeted? Are there any signs or any notifications or any patterns that we can actually identify beforehand?
Okay. So because you normally see warning signs long before a full attack happens, right? Because attackers don't just appear suddenly. They usually probe your environment first. So the easiest way to know if you're being targeted is to look at your signals across um, the identities, the emails, the devices, and cloud workloads. Um, for example, so using the Microsoft Sentinel, you can and Microsoft Defender, so you can see the unusual sign-ins are a big early indicator. Someone trying to log in from a country that you don't operate, for example, or a repeated failed password attempts. In email, you might see a spike in phishing or impersonating attempts against your users, especially a high value roles like finance or IT. Uh, on the devices, you may notice a blocked malware, suspicious files, or a user clicking malicious link, right? And in the cloud, maybe you can see a scan of open ports, misconfiguration, and attempts to access expose resources. So all of the signals is actually there, right? But most company just not aware because um, the signals is scattered across multiple tools, right? That's why tools like Sentinel is very important. Everything in one place. You can monitor everything from one console. So all of the signals is connected to each other, right? You can see the workflow uh, of the threads itself coming from internet to the IP to the NIC to the VM itself, right? Or to the database itself. So all of this is mapped out, right? So you need to pay attention to the signals and the signals coming from multiple sources. And yes, to easier monitoring, you can use the unified SOC operations uh, like Microsoft Sentinel.
All right, thank you,
Yeah.
Iqbal. I hope that answers the question about how the company is being targeted by cyber terrorists. What's the easiest, and on to the next question. So what's the easiest way to secure remote stuff? Cool.
Mm, okay, so remote staff that using company devices, or you can also register their devices, their email address to Microsoft Defender platforms. So, for example, right, you can implement a strong identity protection. You can enforce MFA and conditional access. Conditional access is actually a features from Microsoft Entra ID. So it will detect the IP address um, and also uh, the location of the logins, right? So if the logins is coming from unknown IP address, unknown devices, unknown locations. So for example, your remote workers are in Selangor, right? But the location of the logins coming from Singapore, for example, which is not the location where you operate. So this is definitely a suspicious activities, right? So Defender uh, Entra ID conditional access will detect this and block this access, right? So they can implement secondary um authentication. So if they don't pass the MFA, they will block the access. So conditional access can do that, right? And then yeah, using Defender Intune and Defender for Endpoint, we ensure that the laptop has basic preconditions like updated operating system, antivirus, disk encryption, and no risky applications, right? So if the device become unsafe, the access is automatically blocked, right? So um, in short, you need to secure the identity, secure the devices, and control the access, whether to grant the access or block the access, right? And we can work this out using the Defender uh, in tune or conditional access from Entra ID.
All right. Let's move on to the next question. Is MFA enough to stop most attacks?
Mm. Um, MFA is mostly enough for attacks towards the identity. It is important, but it's not enough on its own because MFA blocks most basic attack, but today's attackers are using things like MFA fatigue, token theft. They can steal your tokens as well, and sophisticated phishing sites that can bypass a simple MFA. So um, it is helping, but it should be part of a bigger protection strategy. So we can combine MFA with what I mentioned earlier, conditional access, um, which check the things like user location, device health, and risk level before allowing access or blocking the access, right? So we also have Defender for identity and identity protection to detect the risky sign-ins and stolen tokens. We also can make sure that the device is compliant. So even if the attackers get past MFA, they still can enter with unsafe devices, right? So basically, MFA is only the foundation, right? So it's not enough. You can add a conditional access and risk-based control to identity protection becomes a better and stronger.
All right, cool. Next question. How fast can Defender detect unusual activities?
Okay, so since Defender is proactively scanning and also hunting and monitoring, it can go very fast, almost immediately because it's constantly analyzing the signals, right, from multiple sources, identity, emails, devices, and cloud workloads. So it's continuous effort from from Defender part, right? And in most cases, it happens in seconds, if not minutes, especially for things like ransomware behavior, unsafe sign-ins, URL, and known malware, right? So, for example, if someone clicks a phishing links, right, Defender for Office 365 can block instantly, right? Because link can goes very fast, and if malware runs on device, Defender for Endpoint can detect and isolate the machine within seconds, in seconds, right? And if the attackers tries a risky sign-ins because maybe they already stole your credentials, right? So Entra ID protection can flags it right away. It can detect the locations, the user's behavior, and also the IP address. So it can block the access right away, right? So all of these signals is actually what makes uh, Defender and Sentinel very fast, right? Right, and it's not just monitor all the signals; it also automate the response, right? So if there is any signals, it will automatically block or grant the access, right? So from detection into remediation is automated. That's why it's that what makes it very quick.
Right, Iqbal, thanks for that. We have a few more questions. Are you okay to go through them?
Yeah, sure, no
All
problem.
right, cool. We got three more. So the first one, how do we know if our security score is good enough?
Mm, okay, so um, as you see on the previous demo, right? Uh, you get not only the secure score, but also um, the risk level, right? The red, the blue, and the yellow, and the brown, right? Just the critical risk, high risk, uh, moderate risk, and also not very risky, which is the blue one. So that's how you know. Um, and um, so by grouping all of those risks based on that uh, um, risk level, so you know which one is need immediate um, uh, response and not, right? Because secure score is basically just a guide. It's not a final example. So a good enough score depends on your risk. Uh, but if your secure score is going up, meaning your risk is going down. That's the easiest way to see it, right? So for most organization aims above 60 to 70%, because at that level you already fix the most common issues like MFA, risky ports, missing patches, weak configurations, and exports exposed resources. So yeah, 7 to 70% is good, but what you need to focus more is to the risk itself. If it's a critical risk, then you need to take immediate actions. And yeah, on top of that, you also get a recommendation, right, from the um, Defender for Cloud and Defender, sorry, for from Sentinel itself. So you can just follow the recommendation and it will improve your overall score immediately. So it's become a lot easier.
Okay. Thank you for that, Iqbal. Can Defender for Cloud work without Sentinel?
Okay, technically can, um, but the difference is that so Defender for Cloud is a CSPM, right? So it's a cloud security and posture management, and also it's proactively protecting your workload. So yes, it can works perfectly fine without Sentinel. Um, it will scan your vulnerability, threat detections, workload protection on its own, right? You don't need Sentinel to get the recommendation, the secure score, the compliance checks, and everything else, right? But Sentinel will help if you want a centralized monitoring across multiple environment, right? Multiple sources, right? Because Defender have Defender is a family of service. You have Defender for endpoint, you have Defender for cloud, you have Defender uh, uh, for identity, right? So if you need to um, unify all of those signals from multiple Defender service, right? This is where Sentinel comes in, right? So it's not just um, connect all the signal together. It also uh, create a full story of the attack, right? It also create automation between Defender signals, right? And also create gives you investigation tools. So yes, you if you only need one platform only, which is Defender, it can works without Sentinel. But if you want to unify all of them into one secure platform to automate everything, to monitor everything in one place, then you need Sentinel.
Yeah, so on to the next question. Does Purdy work with on-prem databases too?
Sorry?
Does Purview work with on-prem databases too?
Okay. Actually, this is a very good question, right? Um, so yes, it works on on-prem database, but it does this by actually you need a self-hosted integration runtime, right? Which is like a small connectors you install inside your on-prem environment. So the connectors allows Purview to scan your on-prem SQL servers, Oracle, SAP, file shares, or other data sources without moving any data to the cloud. So yes, you can stay on the on-prem and use Purview, and it will protect you all the same uh, through scanning, classifying, labeling, and mapping your sensitive data the same way it does to your cloud data.
Okay. Interesting. Moving on to the next question, which security gaps does Microsoft see most often in Malaysian organizations, and which ones are the fastest growing?
Mm.
Hmm.
So the fastest growing threat is, I think, um, based on the data, right? We see two. First one is ransomware, which is the most you can say it's the most dangerous because it will take over your database, right? And then you need to pay the ransom um, to get your data back, or you can use the backups, but uh, meaning they have copy of your data, right? So it's very important. Ransomware is very threatening to your business. And the second one is identity, right? Because the easiest way, because ransomware is quite complex, but the easiest way is to take over someone's identity and steal from there, right? So this is where a defender for identity comes in. It will detect any unusual behavior from identity within your organization, because ransomware is most likely coming from outside, right? But for the inside protection, yeah, an inside threat is identity, which is uh, a hacker or malicious uh, um, attackers, right? Using the identity of your employee to steal data, to take over the virtual machines which is contain your application or anything. So these two is very important. So um, this is why uh, you need to secure both from external and internal. Internal meaning the identities, external is the workloads, AI applications, databases, uh, those kind of resources. So internal and external is very important.
Thank you for that. Well, last question for the day. May I know where do organizations usually fail when deploying Microsoft security tools? Is it in licensing, implementation, or adoption?
Okay, so mostly the first concern, right, is coming from the licensing itself. But once uh, the customer understand, okay, this is how the licensing works, this is how the billing works, and then this is what the benefit that we can get, and this is the advantage that we gain um, compared of not using it, meaning that you get ahead of the threat, not behind, right? The second one is, I think, mostly coming from um, the operations. So meaning we show them how it works and all the features and what they can do, and how it works in general. So mostly, yes, it's implementation, meaning most customers don't need it actually takes time for them to understand and comprehend the tools that they have, right, that they just have a few months back. So this is um, something that we can also help through first um, Copilot. So you get an AI assistant within your system, right? So instead of you need to open documentation one by one to figure out what's working, what's not working, how to implement this and that, you get help from Copilot, right? You can just ask a simple question in plain English. How do I implement this? Or explain me uh, the meaning of these alerts. Copilot will do it for you. Then it will make everything a lot easier and a lot faster. And then the second one is, other than Copilot, we can provide assistance through to the customer through our CSP, for example, through VLANs, uh, and also through me, which is a direct Microsoft, to provide with a training, right, or webinar like this, or a tutorial or demo like we just had earlier, right? So to help with the implementation, right? So you have two options. First one is direct help through the AI assistant, which is Copilot, and second one is help through our CSP and also Microsoft Direct to help with the implementation, because we understand the implementation is a um, big challenge to overcome, especially during the few first month of the implement of the adoption itself.
All right. Well, we have one last question, and I think it's a good closing question. What threats does Microsoft expect in the next 1 or 2 years?
Okay, so definitely coming from um, AI, because yes, it's a uh, newly adopted technology and it's expanding, right? So we expect more threats which coming from generative AI, uh, to create a phishing link, to create um, deep fakes that mimics your organizations, right? Mimics your coworker to ask for your credentials, to ask for your access. Um, and then the second thing is that, of course, ransomware, right? Meaning it's actually quite easy, because the easy the it's not coming from uh, the inability from the uh, what is it, your team itself, but it coming from um, the signals is undetected, right? Because you have multiple tools, multiple signals, everything doesn't work together, right? So um, the issue here is actually not the threat itself, but the detection, right? You need a continuous detection, right? And when with the development of AI in every sector, it will become a lot easier for the attackers to um, to create um, to take over. I mean, to threat the identity of your users, right? To mimics your users, to create a malicious link, to create um, email that is not coming from your organization and take over your credentials and things like that. So you basically what you need is a protection against AI using AI, right? This is what Copilot is providing. So we help the customer to identify, help the customer to understand the threat and take immediate actions as well. So AI will definitely a double-edged sword. It will help you, and also it will um, create a new threats.
All right, thank you, Iqbal. I think that's the end for the questions Q&A for today. Um, Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for this session on the Malaysian threat and security landscape in the age of AI. We hope today's discussion has given you a clear view of how Microsoft's integrated security solutions can help simplify operations, strengthen protection, and reduce overall cost, especially for SMB and mid-market organizations. As mentioned earlier, there are offers for a free Azure security assessment, a free Azure migration assessment as well. So these two things are on offer. I would strongly suggest for all the attendees to explore this. Even if you don't get anything out of it, at least you know what you don't know. If you're looking to secure your servers, modernize your infrastructures, or simply want your clarity on your current cybersecurity posture, like I mentioned earlier, this is a good opportunity for you. There is a webinar feedback form here with regards to the threat and security. I ask for your assistance for all who are present to scan it and give us your honest feedback. So, yeah, so once again, big thanks to Iqbal. Thank you so much, Iqbal, for your time, the valuable insights, and also thank you to everyone else who has joined for spending the time with us. The weather is quite crazy right now, so stay safe, stay secure, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much.